Sup fellow nerds, it is good to see you, and yeah, it's been a while. I realise that now. I know I said in the Legend of the Sea Devils review that I wouldn't leave it until the centenary to do a video, but yeah, you can never really believe anything I say. Life finds a way and YouTube isn't, you know, top of the time priority list, but sorry. But I'm here now, and we're talking about the power of the Doctor, and today, things are gonna be a little bit different, because usually when I do these reviews, I script them in full. I sit and I tap away my laptop for like 2 hours after the end of the episode, and I record it the night before, and then I edit it the day after if I can. And yeah, today's a little different because unless it's already obvious, I'm ad-libbing today. I have notes instead of a script because I feel like I need to get everything out now, in the rawest way, and it's not because I'm going to Disney World, like, now, and I need to get this video done. It's definitely not that. It's definitely the raw emotion of what we just watched, the power of the Doctor, the BBC's 100th birthday, happy birthday by the way, and Jodie Whittaker's final outing as the 13th Doctor. Now, I asked you lot on my community tab, you know, what are you thinking about tonight? Is it gonna be a goodbye to Jodie Whittaker? Is it going to be a good riddance to Chibnall? And it seems to be that is basically the mentality. That's the sentiment that everyone's got, is it's going to be a goodbye to Jodie and a good riddance to Chibnall. So how did he do? Well, according to your thing, at least the last time I looked, it looked as if Good Riddance was winning the poll, but not by much. It was pretty neck and neck, and I can understand that. I think people were hoping for a genuinely good send-off for Jodie, but still wrapped in the absolute clusterfuck that is what Chibnall does with his stories, and basically that's what we got. The power of the Doctor for me very much was this attempt at a really good, really big, explosive farewell to Jodie, but just everything still fell into the same Chibnall traps that we've come to know and hate over the last 5 odd years. And that makes it kinda disappointing for Jodie on her way out. You know, leaving a role like that, it's a big deal for the actor, and landing it in the first place is huge. She is going to go down in infamy, in television, in sci-fi, simply because she played that role, irrelevant of how good or how bad it was. And do I feel it was a good send-off to Jodie? No, I really don't. That sucks. That really, really sucks. But let's dig into that a little bit more. So kicking things off, the Doctor and co arrive on a big space train. I love a space train. Mummy on the Orient Express was really good. And yes, it kind of just, it happens, okay? The Cybermen steal this kid that's not a kid, but they needed to steal a tangible something, not a big fluffy space ball that it was by the end. Okay, whatever, let's ignore that. Oh yeah, the Cybermen, they're Time Lordy things as well. Even though they were destroyed on Gallifrey, right? No? Okay, whatever. And Dan, you know, gets his helmet shot and he looks at it and you can see he's thinking, oh God, that was close. And he just up and goes. He just leaves. Dude just disappears. He just goes, do you know what, Doctor, I'm good, thanks, see you later. And Amy and I sat there watching and thinking that no way, no way that's him done. Oh, but it was. That was Dan. I saw loads and loads of theories on Twitter, people I follow who've been going on and on and on and on for the last couple of weeks about how Dan's gonna die. Because I guess they were looking through all the marketing materials and there's like no Dan in it anywhere, and then there's the fact that there's the hole in his helmet in all the marketing posters, if I remember rightly, and all this sort of thing, and yeah, he doesn't die, he just goes. Like, what? Let's just jump right to the end of the episode when the Doctor mentions Dan again, and at that point I kind of went, oh yeah, where was Dan? Oh, he literally wasn't here. I hadn't even clocked. That's bad on me, I admit, but also, why was he just left out? Was John Bishop busy doing that play with Ian McKellen? Like, and I know that it's kind of the first note of there's a lot to dig into here, but like, what a disservice to Dan. It could have literally been down to like John Bishop not being able to film the special, fair enough, but like, really? See you later, mate, and then he appears at the end. Okay, right, I know that Rasputin's first name was Grigori, but I heard Father Grigori and just thought of this dude from Half-Life 2. If Chibnall is a Half-Life 2 fan, do you know what? Erase everything I said. Yeah, he's not a Half-Life 2 fan, that's Father Grigori's name. It just shows how much I know about history and how much I know about games. This is why I work in games and not a historian. So that's a thing in 1816. We'll get back to 1816 multiple times, and yet it's never really clear what happens when. Yeah, and then Ace and Tegan. I mean, yeah, we knew that was coming. That's really, really cool, but they're just kind of there. They've very much, over the course of this episode, fallen into the same trap that Captain Jack Harkness did back in, not Fugitive of the Jadoon, that was when he first appeared. What was it he was in? Revolution of the Daleks. He's just kind of there, and then he's gone. And it's the same with Ace and Tegan. They're there, they serve a kind of purpose to the story a little bit, and then they're just kind of gone. It's fan service. I mean, yeah, I get it. It's the BBC's 100th anniversary. I mean, look at the Day of the Doctor for the 50th. There was so much fan service in there. There was so much of Stephen Moffat just wanking everyone off at the same time. This very much falls into that same category. But still, it almost felt like they were going to have a bit more of an integral part to the story, and yet they kind of didn't. Okay, so just to recap quickly. So the Doctor and Yaz together, Dan's left, Ace and Tegan and Cybermen and the Master, right, okay. And now there's a Dalek. So this is Chibnall trap number 1. The same thing he falls into every single time. The first episode of The Flux had the same issue where all of a sudden, skidoodle, skidoodle, there's just loads of stuff. There's a million different things. Get your notepads out, kids, because you need to start taking notes now, because in standard typical Chibnall affair, he's gone and mapped out this fantastic plot that when you look at it from above, you look at the whole thing from beginning to end and think, yep, all that links up, it all works together, bada bing, bada boom, we're good to go. And yet when you start feeding people those things bit by bit by bit, piecemeal threads, breadcrumbs going towards the end of this, the climactic part of the Power of the Doctor, and people are left completely in the dark. In a similar vein to things before, yes, everything wrapped up, but did there need to be so much stuff in the first place? The initial reaction that I've seen on Twitter, I've had people messaging me and everything. Hi Peter, how you doing? Nice for our annual talk. People have been saying the Daleks and the Cybermen, yeah, but why? Why are they here? Well, the Cybermen are here supposedly to power the whole forced regeneration thing, which is the Master's plan, and the Daleks are there to do the whole let's nuke all the volcanoes in the world, which I thought was in 1916, but no, it's in 2022. And I wasn't the only one who thought that, thankfully. I thought I was being stupid, but I genuinely thought the volcano, what was it, C plot? Was in 1916, not 2022. It's not good when every single time they change scene and do an establishing shot, they need to tell you where you are. Like even that really brief 1916 shot right towards the end, it's like, come on. If you have to literally signpost your establishing shots, then you know you're doing too much in one story, Chris. I mean, I say Chris now, but it doesn't matter, you're done. And I know that I'm properly rambling. You can tell that this is ad-lib, because should I be bothered? Because all in all, the Power of the Doctor was, I don't want to say passable, it was watchable, it was fine. And am I feeling that way because I know that seeing all these things that Chibnall does wrong, all these little things that he keeps doing, loads of exposition, overloading, overstuffing an episode with loads of random crap because why not? It makes them look a bit more clever, I assume. Taking things that go absolutely nowhere, making companions so irrelevant to the plot, he just thinks, fuck it, I'll write them out at the start and bring them back at the end. Am I really feeling less bothered by that because I know it's over? If this were his penultimate episode, will I be whinging a bit more about them? Well, I'm whinging about the same, I guess, but I almost don't feel I'm holding it to account. Because overall, yeah, I did enjoy Power of the Doctor, but almost not for the right reasons. Because there is still good stuff. We're back at Unit, it's a big building in London, and here we go, the Doctor is reuniting with Ace and Tegan. And yeah, it's not all that happy-go-lucky. And you know what? I really, really appreciate that being the direction we go in, because there are some companions that come back and it's like, oh my god, it's the Doctor, I've missed you, I love you, oh my word. And then there's Tegan like, you left me for 40 years, you dick. Like what the heck, what were you thinking? And even Ace was a little bit more happy, and Ace saying Professor again. Boy, I love that. I know that it's not something that they would have missed. I realise I really hope Chibnall wouldn't have missed, but that was really nice. But I really do like the fact that Tegan's pissed. It may be for people who don't know who Tegan is, maybe weren't too happy with her character by the end, just being a bit of a bitch the whole way through, but I like that. I understand why, and it is nice to see that change of a companion being like, you know what, screw you. I'm jumping narratively through because they're the notes I've got here, but let's talk about the Master specifically. So, last time we saw the Master was at the end of series 12, which I did have to try and think about because I could not remember for the life of me when he created the Cyber Lords on Gallifrey and got nuked by that guy, and yet, okay, he survived, but we don't get an explanation as to why. I know that enemies just kind of come and they go, and then no surprise, they're back again, and sometimes they don't get that kind of clarification as to how they survived, why they moved on. But for something so recent and something so major as the likes of, Gallifrey being blown up and the Master supposedly being on it, how do you get out? And also, incredibly, Chibnall, why did you confuse us further by having, I argue, two different versions of the Master? We've got the Rasputin Master, and we have the Seismologist Master. Now, after the Seismologist Master is captured, taken to UNIT, and then he escapes again and teleports away, was that him going back in time to 1916 and taking on the mantle of Rasputin? Was it that? Did I miss something? Or is it just not going to be explained? Is it because, the Master is this, well, the Master's a Time Lord. In the same way the Doctor can just do whatever the hell she likes and we just kind of have to go along with it, is the Master in the same boat? Did you just kind of go, yeah, he's doing this, and you just have to kind of go, yeah, accept it? Like, am I picking things apart a bit too much here, or were you thinking the same thing? And that also kind of applies to the ending as well. The Master taking over the Doctor's body, kind of, sort of, not really, getting big vibes of the end of time here. Did you see that as well? The Master becoming the Master Race and implanting himself into everyone on Earth. The classic Tennant story, Tennant's final story. Yeah, I got some big vibes coming from that. Maybe that's foreshadowing. Ooh. And how at the end he just kind of still has control over the, hang on, I wrote it down, Kurunks, to like take out the Doctor and force her to regenerate again. And then the Master's just kind of left there. So the Master's obviously not dead, like we get that. But I would have liked to have seen the Master regenerate into Missy. And I'm certain I'm not the only one here who's thinking that, because Sacha Dhawan as a Master, right, if that's the Master done according, like looking at his tweets after the show, I'm assuming that probably, yes, that's probably his Master done. And I will say, what an amazing Master. Sacha, you've done a cracking job, and I really, really have liked the direction you took the Master in. Like, it's really, really good to see it. But, understandably, when he was introduced in Spyfall, people were pretty pissed about the fact that we have this Missy, we have Missy, this incarnation of the Master that tried to turn herself around genuinely, and we all went along with it. Why not? Michelle Gomez was brilliant, and we bought into her portrayal, we bought into her direction as a character, and to see that completely removed again with Sacha Dhawan's Master in Spyfall, people were understandably a bit pissed off. And I really wanted Chibnall to be like, okay, let's do something for you. Let's do something for you, the fans. Because let's make Sacha Dhawan's Master before Missy. After John Sim, before Missy. Okay? Would that clear things up a lot? I would think so, yes. I would think that would, and I think a lot of you would probably agree with me. Let me know in the comments if you do. That would have been a little bit of fan service that would have been nice, because as said, this has been basically all fan service. Ace, Tegan, Unit, Cybermen, Daleks, Master, Doctor, all of it, it's all fan service. Graham. Why the hell was Graham in a volcano? Did he really think he's going to take on an entire fleet of Daleks with a big fucking drill with a bit of psychic paper? I get that it's nice to see Bradley Walsh back again as Graham, because we all love Graham. Come on, we all love Graham. But, what? Why? Come on. So, let's talk the elephant in the room. And that's the Doctor, of course. Jodie Whittakers. Her run has been turbulent, to put it nicely. And I still do very much enjoy how much there are people whinging about the fact that she's female. 5 years later, come on, you know who you are. We've never interacted and yet you blocked me on Twitter. All right, whatever. There's all this fan service, all this stuff going on, and yet the biggest bit of fan service, the thing we were all expecting to see in her final episode, her final farewell, it didn't happen. And I'm talking Thasmin. Am I a big shipper of it? No, not particularly. Am I okay with it? Sure, why not? I am still convinced that Thasmin was never a thing that Chibnall had actually foreseen, or because the seeds aren't planted in the first series, really, if I remember rightly. I feel like because people started shipping and he's looking at Twitter and he's like, oh, actually, we could do this. I still stand by the whole timeless child thing was a throwaway line, just some cool way to refer to the Doctor, and he just went, okay, if people are latching onto that, let's take that somewhere, and look where it went. Out of everything that's disappointing about this episode, I think that genuinely might be the biggest thing. Seriously. Yaz and 13 don't kiss. They don't confess their love for each other. As much as in Eve of the Daleks, it very much felt like Yaz was this close to doing it, and then Dan talked her out of it and then kind of turned and said the things to the Doctor anyway, because, all right, Dan, whatever. But we didn't get that. So all the plot, everything has happened, it's all kind of, it's almost irrelevant. That's kind of the thing that I found about a lot of Chibnall's plots. That sense of peril it's never really there. It didn't feel like the Doctor was going from like step through step, through beat through the narrative to get to the point where she was going to be forced to regenerate by the Master into the Master. It didn't actually feel like that was almost an inevitability. There have been times in the past when it feels like every single hurdle has been fallen at, and it happened. Think of the Master in The End of Time Part 1 turning the world into the Master race. Like, it felt like there was nothing that could have been done to stop that. Think of Avengers Infinity War. You almost don't think it's going to happen, and it does. You're convinced that maybe, like, you're led down a path of thinking it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine, and then bada boom, it's not fine. Jodie regenerating into the Master just felt like inevitability. The Daleks, using that genuine traitor. Why the hell was there a Dalek traitor anyway? Like, then latching onto that to capture the Doctor, the Daleks and the Cybermen team up because they both hate the Doctor. It's like, yeah, but it's happened before, and the Pandorica opens and it was with more monsters and felt a bit more justified than just the Master being like, hey, you two should be busy mates, even though they've been together before in Army of Ghosts and Doomsday, and they weren't friends. They slagged each other off and it was great. Daleks bitching about Cybermen, it's amazing, but there's a lot of stuff going on and yet none of it really goes anywhere. There was this big overarching idea to make a big statement about this being the end of Jodie's era, and yet it doesn't really go anywhere. I've said this about stories in Chibnall's era before, that there's a lot of stuff going on, but none of it feels genuine, none of it feels serious. And I'm not to say that people who genuinely enjoyed this episode, because I know there was that press screening a couple of weeks ago that there were people crying and all this sort of thing, and it's like, yeah, okay, fair enough, you enjoyed it. I, as a Doctor Who enjoyer myself, and a reviewer, as you can see, I'm never going to hold that against you. If you enjoyed it, you do you. That's what makes me different from other people on this website who just like to bash Doctor Who and hate anyone who disagrees with them. I don't do that. But this is one of those episodes where I genuinely don't see how you can almost be invested. Let's get to the end of things. I don't see how you can genuinely believe that things are over for the Doctor when she regenerates into the Master. I mean, yeah, just narratively, in any kind of medium, it's kind of obvious that wouldn't be it. It would have been a ballsy move by Chibnall to make the holograms of the Doctor like Jodie's actual farewell. It would have been a very different way of doing things, but also the hologram thing. It's almost like a Deus Ex Machina. Oh, by the way, those sparks was this. It's something my hologram past me did. What? If we go to the end, we go to the point where Jodie and Mandip, or Yaz and the Doctor, were talking atop the TARDIS, their final moment together, and Yaz is like, I don't want this to be goodbye. From a narrative perspective, and from just doing something a little bit different, I can understand why that was the direction Chibnall decided to go with Yaz's farewell. They don't want to be one. There's not gonna be one. But I also look at it and think maybe that wasn't the best idea, because at the end of the day, while she doesn't want there to be a goodbye, this supposedly is goodbye, right? It's the end of an era, right? The end of a showrunner's era, the end of the 13th Doctor's era. We've got the 60th special, which holy fuck, we'll get to that. And then Russell T Davies 2 beyond that. This is goodbye. And yet, she just won't want that. And Chibnall basically lets her not do that. So the fact that he denied them this genuine moment, because there's no way in hell Jodie's coming back, right? I'm kind of struggling to get it into words here. This is probably why I script things instead of just ad-lib them to camera, because I get a bit of time to nail it down. But it's such a weird direction to go in, to not give that thing that fans have been wanting so much, not to let them have it. It's a little bit different when, say, Rose on Bad Wolf Beach in a parallel Earth says I love you, and the Doctor tries to say it back, and it's heart-wrenching that it doesn't happen because of things out of their control. That was different. This was a conscious decision made to just go, do you know what? Nah. Let's not do that. Let's not end the Jodie era with a bang, and let's end it with a whimper. Because in the end, that's what happened. There was no kiss. There was no big moment between the two of them. It was weird, but just the way that it was being framed, the way that Jodie and Yaz in the TARDIS at the end, because, they just dropped off everyone, no big farewell for the companions that came back. Same thing for Jack, he just fucked off at the end of Revolution of the Daleks. Nothing for Ace, nothing for Tegan, nothing for Graham. It really did feel like Chris didn't want to say goodbye. He didn't want to make anyone say goodbye. He kind of just wanted to leave quietly when no one's looking. Like, I went on a stag do a couple of years ago. I was in a nightclub. I was drunk, I was tired, I didn't know where anything was. because you left the nightclub via, almost like past the toilets in a little cubby hole. I had no idea where to go. I was terrified. I just left. I didn't say to anyone I was going, I just went. That's what Chris is doing. He doesn't want to say goodbye. He doesn't want to make a big deal of it. He just kind of wants rid of it. Is that really how he feels at this point? The show that he loved all this time and criticised a lot, admittedly. Look at those clips of him from, what was it, the 80s? It feels like he just kind of went, yep, and ran, and he's just gone. Because nothing between Jodie and Yaz, and then for Jodie herself, let's take a look back through the regenerations, exactly what the BBC have been doing to market Power of the Doctor. In case you haven't been paying attention, on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook for the last week and a half, every day they've been posting a regeneration from the Doctors through the years of Doctor Who. Eccleston, for example, his wasn't as explosive and as important. Well, it was important, it's very important for me, obviously, but he did this whole thing you were fantastic and so was I. Brilliant. David's farewell at the end of Time Part 2, he goes and sees all his old companions in some way, shape or form. It's such a big, beautiful send-off. I don't want to go. Still just ruins you to this day. Matt Smith's farewell with Amy Pond coming back, even just in his mind, and he does the whole speech of I always remember when the Doctor was me. Capaldi, the master of the monologue, he's there in his TARDIS chatting shit to himself as he does so goddamn well. Doctor, I let you go. Live well, run fast, be kind. It's something like that. Off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly what it is, but again, big old send-off. Jodie's on a big rock looking at a sunset, and she just goes, Doctor, whoever you're gonna be, tag, you're it. I almost don't know how to react to that ending for Jodie. Do I feel like she has been done a disservice by Chris? Yeah. I think they all have. Ace and Tegan's return, as good as all the callbacks were, Professor, Nitro 999, Braveheart, Tegan, all that sort of stuff, yeah, that was good fan service. The same with I realise I've not mentioned it yet, the Doctors coming back. Doctors 5, 6, 7 and 8, all coming back and First Doctor, and David Bradley as well, coming back as the ones on the periphery, the hypothetical step to the abyss after you regenerate. I gathered that was kind of what they were going for, but that was lovely. As soon as I saw, when I weirdly got the most emotional when I saw Colin Baker. I don't know why that got me so much, but oh my goodness, that was so good. And then the same with the hologram, seeing Peter Davison back in Doctor Who, in character, properly in character. Same with Sylvester McCoy, because obviously, as I've said before a million times, Remembrance of the Daleks is my favourite classic Who story, so seeing him and Ace back together in Doctor Who, you'd never dream of it. Gotta give Chris that, but the episode itself was, I guess, fine. Like I said, all of the things that Chibnall planted at the start, they go through to the end and they do kind of tie up, but then most of it's irrelevant. The Daleks didn't need to be there, the Cybermen didn't need to be there. Vinder, who I've just mentioned now, Vinder was there. His sole purpose in the episode was to shoot the Master, the Doctor Master, and put him back into the tank. That was literally his entire thing. That was Chibnall going, right, he's one of my creations, he's going back in. That's all he's there for. I'm surprised he didn't break out to trying to sell me a Google Pixel 6. Who would buy one? Shit. It was really nice seeing a bunch of the companions back in their little companion circle. That was really cool, seeing Ian back. Amazing. That's so cool. One of the first companion, and he's still going. He's a million years old at this point, and bless him. I think that's so cool that he came back. And I'd love to have seen, we got Mel back as well. We got Joe Grant back as well. They were really cool cameos, and I'd love to have had as many as Chris could have gotten. That would have been brilliant. And I will say I was on the edge of my seat during the consciousness bit on the cliff with the previous Doctors. I thought if he morphs into Eccleston, I'm going to cry. I know it wasn't going to happen, but if it did, I was just fully ready to burst. But a lot of fan service there, right? Fair enough. End of an era, it's bound to happen. The end of Time Part 2 with the Doctor revisiting all of his companions, the 10th Doctor, yeah, that was fan service, fully fan service, and fan service is okay when it's done right. And yet that big bit of fan service, the kiss, Phasmin, that supposedly, the thing he's been building up to, kind of building up to, even the Daleks put a big old position on that, same with Legend of the Sea Devils, and it just didn't happen. He just didn't do it. It's not like we've got another thing. It's not like it's been postponed like it was in Legend of the Sea Devils, the whole date thing. They didn't just tease us with it and then go, okay, but there's something more. That was it. It's done. The power of the Doctor, as said at the start, it just falls into the same traps that we've seen throughout the course of the Chibnall era. He hasn't learned. And while, yeah, I'll admit I'm glad his era's over, because oh my lord, we've got some exciting stuff to look forward to. But for Jodie, I feel really bad for her. Because while I think a lot of people will be I think, do you know what? I think most people will be disappointed especially those who are shipping them the most. Because that, honestly, as someone who wasn't always there for the Thasmin stuff, I'm actually gutted, personally, and also for you, that didn't happen. It's the same old traps, the power of the Doctor, and the fan service, while getting us very excited, it did hit well, but I think as a narrative piece, same shit, different day. 6 out of 10? It's not outright bad. There are moments, Tegan falling down a lift shaft, she should be dead. She'd have been dragging herself over to the panel to control the conversion unit with like her bones sticking out of her shins or something, but no, she was fine. She fell like fucking who knows how far, but okay, whatever. It's a big old rambly mess this, but I hope I've managed to get the message across, the point across that, yeah, fan service was good, but the episode itself was just more Chibnall chuff. A lot of chiblets in there to nibble away at, which is a shame for Jodie. And I really do hope Big Finish swoop in, grab her into their loving arms and do something with her. I really, really hope they do. And I will say, Chris, I actually don't fucking believe you didn't give us Thasmin after all of that. I genuinely, the cock teasing you did, not the right term, definitely not the right term, but you know what I mean. You really did lead people to believe that there was going to be something there, and you didn't deliver on it. It's not the first thing he's not delivered on in Doctor Who, but that genuinely might be one of the most egregious things he's done. And now I've kind of said that, that makes me think, you know what, that really does put a pin in the Chibnall era. And while this has been ranty, I will admit it's been ranty, it's been ad-lib, it's been all over the place. There are bound to be things that I've missed in my notes. Let's have a look. Well, not very concise, I get, but to get this video out in time, that's all I can really do. Yeah?
I don't mean to interject into your video, but it's just been confirmed that Tennant will return in 3 episodes in November 2023.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and he's been officially confirmed as the 14th Doctor, so Ncuti is the 15th, technically.
Breaking news, everyone. Okay, so 14 is David Tennant, because something wibbly wobbly has happened, and even though we knew that Tennant was coming back, we didn't know who Jodie was going to regenerate into. And I was absolutely certain it was going to be Tennant, and as soon as I saw his tie, I was like, oh my god, it's Tennant. I think the next door might be calling the police because we screamed so much, but oh my god, it's happening. And that tease for what's coming, oh my god. 3 episodes with David Tennant. Whether all 3 are with Catherine Tate, we don't know yet. Bernard Cribbins' last performance, that's going to be tough. That's going to be real tough to watch. But oh my god, Neil Patrick Harris. Oh my god. How Russell has got these people together, it's absolutely mental. And I think I speak for everyone when, oh my goodness, I can't wait. I didn't feel excited going into Power of the Doctor, and I've still got like a year to wait for whatever the 60th is going to be called, and oh my good golly gosh, I don't even know where to start. After all the things that Chibnall has done right and all the things Chibnall has done wrong, his era has been an interesting one, and I will get to it because I am planning on doing a more concise, scripted review of the Chibnall era as a whole, just because now that it's got a start, it's got a middle, it's got an end, I can turn around and go, right, let's have a look at stuff, let's see what he fucked up, let's see what he did right, and let's just talk about it properly, in depth. That'll be coming in a good few weeks because I'm going to Disney World finally after so many years of waiting, hence why I've got to get this out sharpish, and then I'm starting a new job after I come back. Yeah, I've moved on. That will be coming. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe to my channel. I know that, as said, I don't really upload all that much. I would love to be able to do more, but we'll see how things go. But full-time job and planning a wedding and etc. YouTube's not at the top of the priority list as much as I love doing it. It's not always the easiest to get done. And yes, Escaping Castebrus does get uploaded here, and I see my subscribers drop every time I upload a video. I get that. The finale of Series 3 is coming, but we've just had, because it's a triple header, that's like, what, 2 and a bit hours of watching and then however long recording, we just genuinely haven't found the time to do it yet. But please do subscribe for my full review of the Chibnall era and also the finale of Season 3 of Escaping Castebrus, that my podcast I do with Amy. But hopefully, post-production Rich, I hope you've managed to cut this down to something a little bit more digestible and cut out maybe some of the ramblings. No way in hell. It's just me. And I hope that my general blabbering has been okay to watch, but I do want to know what you think about the Power of the Doctor. Let me know in the comments below, and also anything you might want me to touch upon and look at specifically in the Chibnall era for my review coming up in a couple of weeks' time. I'm sure on the flight to Florida I'm going to be sat there tapping away on my phone, actually writing down some ideas, even starting to script it. That'd be cool. That'll kill a lot of time, won't it? Writing about the Chibnall era as a whole. Let me know in the comments below any questions you've got, any opinions you've got, because I'm sure I'll get you guys involved in some way, shape or form, because I love it when you do talk about Doctor Who. It's what we're here to do. But hopefully that's a review-ish of The Power of the Doctor. I get, yeah, it's ad-libbed as hell, but I've said why. And yeah, I'm sorry, Jodie. I really am. I am gutted for you. You deserved so much better. So did Yaz, so did Dan. I'm gonna go to bed. But that's it from me. Have a great Halloween. I'll see you in Disney World. That's gonna be fun. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon.